So I told you that we were going to be talking about sleep today, and sleep is very important for our overall health. Boys and girls, getting enough sleep and good sleep can help us physically, mentally, emotionally, and socially. Now, when we go to sleep, boys and girls, our bodies go through 4 different cycles of sleep. Now, these cycles repeat over and over again all through the night while we're asleep. And each cycle, or each revolution of the 4 cycles, usually lasts 2, maybe 3 hours. So we probably do 2 to 3 full revolutions going through all 4 stages. So the 4 stages, the first 3 are called NREM or NREM. That means non-rapid eye movement. And so what's happening during these first 3 cycles is our body is starting to relax. So our muscles are relaxing, our heart rates are really starting to slow down, our breathing slows down, and our brain activity actually starts to slow down. So what our body is doing is it is just starting to kind of relax itself. And what this is doing is allowing our body to recover. So the things that you did throughout the day, maybe you exercised, maybe you didn't. Maybe you went out shopping, maybe you lifted some weights. It could be anything. As you go through your day, your body is building up stress, okay, and it's performed, and we need a time for our bodies to kind of recuperate and regenerate and feel refreshed. So that's what sleep does. So during those first 3 cycles, our body is starting to relax. So you might notice if you wake up suddenly in the middle of the night, that your body temperature is a little bit cooler. And that's okay, that's natural, because when our breathing and our heart slows down, then our oxygen flow and our blood flow throughout our body is not as fast, because our muscles don't need as much oxygen as quickly because we're not using them. So our body temperature goes down. That's why a lot of times we get cold in the middle of the night and we need that blanket to help keep ourselves warm. Our heart rate slows down and our bodies just start to physically repair themselves. Okay. The 4th cycle is called REM sleep, or REM stands for rapid eye movement. During this cycle, things start to kind of pick back up. Your heart rate increases just slightly, your breathing increases slightly, and your eyes, if you were to ever watch somebody in REM sleep, their eyes are going to be moving really quickly underneath of their eyelids. And what's happening is that's kind of like your brain downloading all of the information that it took in from that day, and it's logging it into the long-term memory section of your brain. And that's how we start to recall things and remember things. Okay, so REM sleep is really important for our brains because it's how our brains download all of the information and the things that we learned from the day into our memory. REM sleep, boys and girls, is when we dream. So if you can recall a dream from your sleep, then you were in REM sleep during that section, during that time. So like I said, we go through all 4 of those cycles over and over again throughout the night. And it's like your body is in a really heightened sense of rest. It comes back up towards being awake, and then you go back into sleep again, and then back up to being awake. And that's really good for our bodies and our minds. So physical health and mental health. Now, I also told you about social and emotional health. Okay, when we don't get enough sleep, then what happens is we're not any fun to be around. We get really tired. We can get really grumpy and cranky. And that can have a really big impact on our social life, nobody wants to be with somebody that's super tired and super grumpy all the time. And so by getting enough sleep, we can actually benefit our interactions with other people. So that's the social aspect. And then you've got the emotional aspect. Because of your physical, mental, and social health being improved, that can help release endorphins in your body that help you keep a positive outlook. Sleep can reduce the amount of stress that you have because it's your time to kind of decompress from the day. So it helps to reduce that stress that you might be experiencing. We've got to be careful though, because if we're experiencing a high amount of stress, it can actually cause us to lose sleep. And so that's a little bit of a cycle that we have to break. We have to get out of that. We need rest in order to decompress, to improve our emotional health. But not having enough or having too much stress can keep us from sleeping. So we've got to try and figure out that balance. So that's how we can improve our emotional health as well, is by getting enough rest and reducing the amount of stress that we are feeling throughout the day while we are awake. Now, here are a couple of strategies that can help you get good rest. Now, first, for a school-aged person, that's you all, it's recommended that you get between 9 and 11 hours of sleep. Now, that's a lot of sleep. For an adult like me or your folks at home, it's only recommended about 8 hours. And some people don't even need that much. They can get the rest and recovery that they need with less sleep than that. But so for adults, 8 hours, but for you all, it's recommended 9 to 11 hours of sleep. Now that can be difficult to do with busy schedules, okay? So we've got to try and keep that in mind. So my first strategy to help you get good rest, good sleep, is to set a bedtime routine, all right? Pick that time of night that you're going to go to bed every night. And I want you to try and stick to that time, even on the weekends. Okay, I know that we try and cram a lot of things onto the weekends, but sleep is important. So get into a bedtime routine, pick your time. Maybe you take a shower or a bath before you go to bed. Maybe you just wash your face and brush your teeth before you go to bed. But do something that gets you into a routine. So brushing your teeth every night. Maybe you read a short story every night. And do those things every night before you go to bed. And what that's going to do is it's going to start to train your brain of, okay, this is bedtime and I know bedtime's coming. And so we can kind of start to wind down. Just our bodies start to wind down on their own by having that routine. So that's step number one. Step number two, I want you to avoid, that means don't do, avoid caffeine and eating big meals right before bed. Okay, so caffeine, it is actually what's called a stimulant. And what it's going to do is it's going to cause your body to start wanting to be more active. So instead of your body winding down in order to get rest, caffeine is going to make it hard for you to fall asleep. Okay, so you can find caffeine in a lot of soft drinks, some teas, coffees, energy drinks, and especially in chocolate. Okay, so we want to kind of try to avoid those things before, probably within 2 hours of before we're trying to go to sleep. And then you also want to avoid eating a large meal right before you go to bed. You want to stop eating probably about 2 hours before you go to sleep, because what your body is trying to do is digest, okay? And it takes energy for your body to digest. So what happens is if you go to sleep, your body's working on digestion. It's not able to slow itself down and relax like it needs to get good sleep. So in order to help get good sleep, we want to avoid caffeine and we want to not eat lots of food before we go to sleep. Probably about 2 hours before we go to bed, we want to stop eating and drinking those things. Okay? So the next thing that I want you to do before you go to sleep or try to go to sleep is to avoid technology. Now, I know that's a really difficult thing for us to do because we really like to watch those YouTube videos and just see what's going on around us. Maybe it's a sports season and there's a late game on, but really what we need to be doing is avoiding technology for about an hour before we try to go to sleep. The lights from your TV, your computer, your tablet, or your phone, or whatever, that processes through your eyes, but also the just the stimulation that your brain gets from technology can really have an effect, a negative effect on how we sleep at night. So my challenge for you for this, to avoid technology, is 1, turn off those devices an hour before you're ready to go to bed. Okay, so you turn off those devices an hour before you go to bed, you start that bedtime routine. Okay, take your shower or your bath, brush your teeth, read a short story. Okay, just relax your body without technology. The way you can help do that is to avoid having those things in your room. All right, if you've got a TV or tablet or computer or your phone in your room, then it's easy to get distracted by it. All we have to do is we're right there, we're in bed, quick click, it's on, now we're watching it. Okay, so another thing about having technology is we kind of get sucked in, and I'm guilty of this myself. I'm watching a TV show or a movie and I get sucked into it. And what happens is I was ready to go to bed at 9:30, and now that I've gotten sucked into my phone or whatever it was, it's now 11:30 or 12, and I didn't even realize it. And so now I've lost out on 2.5 hours of sleep, of good quality sleep. That's a whole time, a whole revolution through all 4 cycles that I could have been going through to rejuvenate my body. So if we move those things out of our room, away from our beds, then it will be less of a temptation, and we will be able to try to avoid that technology before bed. Now, the last thing is really the first thing, okay? Last thing I'm going to tell you is really the first thing you should start doing, and that is paying attention to your body. Your body has what's called the circadian rhythm, okay? And what that is basically there's a part of your brain that tells you, oh, it's daytime. I should be up, I should be moving, working, being active, doing these things that I do during the day. And then you've got a time where your brain is like, okay, time to rest, time to relax, time to shut down and get some sleep. And your body will start to give you some signals. Yawning, okay, your eyes getting heavy, things like that are indications that in your circadian rhythm, it's time to start winding down. So really that's the first sign that it's time to get some sleep and to get some rest. So pay attention to your circadian rhythm. If you ignore your circadian rhythm too long, boys and girls, you can actually change it, okay? And that's fine as long as your schedule allows for that, okay? So like during the summertime, it's okay if we change our circadian rhythm a little bit so that we are going to bed a little bit later and waking up a little bit later. That's fine. But then when we get into school, the time of the year during school, now we've got to get up a little bit earlier because we've got to get ready for school, right? And so now we've got to start backing that circadian rhythm back up, our internal clock, if you will. We've got to start backing it up so we go to bed earlier and wake up earlier, okay? So we always want to match those times to get that recommended amount of sleep. That for you all is 9 to 11 hours. So if you can work on those strategies, boys and girls, that will help you get good sleep. You're going to start to feel better. You're going to start to feel lighter and more energetic. It's actually a good way to help your body because your body starts to metabolize things differently. So you might find yourself eating a little bit less. Your stress levels are just going to go way down. And so sleep is really good for your body. All right, boys and girls, I've got another activity for you to do. So I want you to go enjoy that, and I will see you in a little bit.